Mel, why am I constantly victimizing myself? Why am I beating myself up? It's a great question. And here's what we're going to talk about today. You need to stop victimizing yourself. You need to stop beating yourself up. You need to stop telling yourself that you're a bad person or selfish person. You got to stop with this crap. All right. And we're going to address it today in this video. And here's how this is going to roll. I am reading my international New York Times best-selling book, The High Five Habit 2 cover to cover. Today, chapter 5, we're starting on page 63. The title of this chapter, Why Am I Broken? Or not, that's not what the title is. The title is, Am I Broken? Because you're not broken. Sometimes you feel broken, and the reason why you feel broken is because of the victimizing and the crap that you keep saying to yourself in your head. And today, that's going to stop. So, the other night, we were having a family dinner right here in this house outside of Boston, Massachusetts, and one of our daughters started talking about friction that she was having with one of her roommates. And here's what our daughter said. I just always feel like I'm the bad guy. It doesn't matter what I say or how I say it. Every time I talk about what's bothering me or I express a boundary, I end up feeling like I'm in the wrong. It happens so many times. I'm now telling myself, I'm selfish. I'm selfish for feeling this way. I'm a bad person for feeling this way. That's what my entire year has felt like, that I'm a bad person. I'm the one that's wrong. And I don't know how to stop feeling this way about myself. Do you ever feel that way about yourself? That you're a bad person or you're selfish for expressing what you need, that you try to explain yourself and it never comes out right. It always creates a friction. It always creates argument. It's always tense. I hate feeling that way. And I know that that's a really familiar feeling. So if you can relate to this, that you feel like people don't understand you, you feel like you're in the wrong, you feel like you're a bad person or that you're selfish for needing what you need, you're watching the right video right now, because we're going to address this. And I also want you to know you're not alone in feeling this way. This is so common because as we're sitting around the dining room table here in our house outside of Boston, my husband, Chris, tries to console her. You're not a bad person. Yeah, you've done some kind of bad things to your roommates or as a roommate. We all do. But you're not a bad person. Everyone screws up. That's how you learn. Just promise me that you will stop telling yourself that you are a bad person. So this is step number 1. How to stop victimizing yourself. How to stop beating yourself up. Number 1, you must stop labeling yourself as a bad or selfish person. That's got to stop right now. So stop labeling yourself as a bad person. You can label behavior. You know, I feel bad that I was passive aggressive with my roommate. I feel bad that I lost my shit last night with my spouse. I feel bad that I didn't do the thing that I said I would do. I feel bad that I was gossiping about my brother-in-law, sister-in-law, whatever. You can feel bad about the behavior, but do not label yourself a bad person. That's rule number 1 when it comes to stop victimizing yourself and stop making yourself wrong. Rule number 1, stop labeling yourself as a bad, selfish, or whatever person, okay? It's good to label the behavior because then you can focus on changing the behavior. But never label yourself as a bad person. And here's why. My husband, Chris, tried to console her and said, you're not a bad person. Everybody screws up. That's how you learn. Stop telling yourself you're a bad person. And then he went on to explain. After my restaurant business collapsed, I felt like a complete failure because the business had failed. Everywhere I looked, that's what I saw. I wasn't there enough for you kids, so I failed at being a good dad because I was always working. I failed at being a good husband to your mom because I hadn't made enough money, so I failed to be a good provider. And once I started saying that I was a failure, all I started to see was that I couldn't do anything right. And here's the problem with labeling yourself as a bad person or a failure, everybody, is that the more you repeat it, the more you believe it. You see these labels that you repeat. I'm a bad person. I'm a screw up. I never do anything right. I'm selfish. I'm not a good person. All these labels, they start out as just you trashing yourself once, but the more you repeat it, it sticks. And this label that should be applied to behavior, not to you as a person, that label starts to stick. And then as you repeat it, it's no longer something you're describing. It becomes almost like the identity that you believe about yourself. That's why we got to stop labeling ourselves and be talking about the behavior we want to change instead. And what my husband said is right. The more you say it, the more you repeat it. And then you repeat it, you'll believe it. And it starts to become like a dark pair of sunglasses. Saying that you're a failure colors everything that you see. I want to show you something. I think there's sunglasses in this drawer right here. At least I thought I saw. Oh, we did. Okay. So when you repeat behavior, like I'm a bad person, I'm a failure, I'm this, I'm that, it's literally like putting on a dark pair of sunglasses. It colors the way that you see the whole world. Like when I don't have these sunglasses on, things are much clearer. If I put the glasses of failure on, I'm a bad person, I failed, it tints the way you view the whole world. And that's why we're going to learn how to take those glasses off. And step number 1 is stop calling yourself names. That's how you stop victimizing. That's how you remove the glasses. Well, then our daughter then responded to my husband. Well, Dad, I have that story too, that I'm a failure. See, being a music student, I walk into a classroom or a studio and I always notice all the much more talented and cool kids. And I think about how much further along they are in their music careers and whether or not they've been signed to a label or they're already releasing music or they're gigging. And then I look at myself and I say, well, I'm a failure compared to these cool and talented people. And then our other daughter chimes in and she says, well, we're definitely related because I always think I'm the biggest one of my friends and Mom thinks everything's her fault. And then she turned to our son, Oakley, and said, oh, what negative stuff do you think? And thankfully, Oakley has a sense of humor because he's like, I'm not getting involved in this conversation because you guys are really depressing. And that made us all laugh. And then one of the girls turned back to Chris and said, no, seriously, Dad, how do you take those glasses off? Once you start to believe that you're a failure, how do you take those glasses off, especially when I do think I'm a failure and I do think I'm a bad person and I see all kinds of evidence that proves it? You know, my kids were onto something with this conversation because for the first 40 years of my life, my theme song was, I've messed everything up. And for me, this is what it sounds like. Well, might as well just flush the last 40 years down the toilet because I kind of blew it in high school and college, and I blew it in law school too. And I blew it in the first part of my marriage, and I was not a terrible parent. I was a terrible parent. And if only I'd been more successful and had the house where all the kids hung out and had the money to join a country club and been there for every birthday party and every lacrosse game. And oh, if I had only bought Amazon stock 10 years ago, wait, there's more. If I only lived on a different street or had a different friend group or made different choices, if only I'd done it right. Well, I didn't do it right. And now it's too late. I guess it's all my fault. I really screwed things up. See, you've got some version of that in your head too. You've got some label that you've given yourself. Just like my husband had the label, I'm a failure. That's how he victimized himself. My daughter has the label, I'm a bad person. That's how she victimized herself. My other daughter has the label, well, I'm the biggest of all my friends. Nothing works out for me. That's how she victimized herself. My label, I screw everything up. That's how you victimize yourself. You need to identify the label. That's the pair of glasses that is tinting everything that you see. It's how you see your past. It's how you see yourself. It's how you see opportunity. We got to identify the label. So what is the label that you have given to yourself? You know, and as I write this sentence, it's hard for me to believe sometimes how far I've come. You know, I put a post on social media yesterday that was showing you photos of this house that Chris and I are building in Vermont. And it's overwhelming to walk into this extraordinary house that we're building because, it was just over a decade ago that we were $800,000 in debt and about to lose it all. It was just 6 years ago, you guys, when my speaking business started and I started getting paid to deliver keynote motivational speeches. We still had liens on this house 6 years ago. And so to walk into this dream house that we are building and to realize that we have put our heads down, we have removed those labels, we have done the work to change the story about our life, we have done the work to stop victimizing ourselves and to start empowering ourselves, because that is the opposite of victimization. So step 2, after you identify that label and you make a promise to yourself that you're not going to call yourself those names, that's number 1, to stop victimizing yourself. Step 2 is create habits of empowering yourself, because empowering yourself, forgiving yourself, supporting yourself as you move forward and do the work to change your life, that's how you break the habit of victimizing yourself. And that's how you learn to do the opposite, which is supporting, empowering, cheering, celebrating yourself as you move forward. That's what's going to motivate you to do the action. And look, if Chris and I can go from having liens on this house 6 years ago to literally building an extraordinary business, changing our marriage to the point where we are building our dream house, a house that's so nice, I can't even believe we are going to live in this house because of the hard work that we've done. But I'll tell you, the singular habit that helped us do it is we stopped victimizing ourselves. We stopped labeling ourselves. We stopped beating the shit out of ourselves. And we broke that habit. We changed the narrative by learning how to empower ourselves. You're going to hear part of the horror show of what my early days were like. But just a few years ago, my life was a slow motion train wreck. My confidence was in the gutter because we were facing bankruptcy. My marriage was failing. I had crushing anxiety. I was unemployed. That was me in 2008. I faced these issues like a lot of high functioning adults do. I numbed myself with alcohol. I screamed at Chris, and I did anything I possibly could to avoid my problems. I wish I were kidding. Honestly, it's why I have so much conviction about everything that I'm teaching you and sharing with you. It's because I've used everything that I'm teaching you to save my own life. That's why I know that they work. After 10 years of hard work, I've rewritten the story of my life, and I'm here to tell you, you can rewrite the story of your life. The first step is you must decide you want to. Then the second is you got to stop victimizing yourself and labeling yourself, because that keeps you trapped, seeing life and seeing yourself through a very dark lens. And once you stop labeling yourself, then you create a new habit. You do the opposite. You empower yourself, you cheer for yourself, you celebrate yourself, and that's going to help you do the work to change your life. That's how you do it. It's not a sexy formula, but it works. I've rewritten the story of my life using that formula. I got sick and tired of where I was, and so I made a fucking decision to change. That's what I did. And then I put my head down, and I stopped saying I'm a bad person, and I started forgiving myself for the crap that I did. I started doing the work to change. I'm now an entrepreneur. I'm a best-selling author, and I'm one of the most booked speakers in the world, you guys. And I just got started in the speaking business 6 years ago. If you put in the work, you can make it happen. And on this live stream, you see the person I've become. I confidently go after what I want. I crush it in business. I have an imperfect but beautiful 25-year marriage. We got 3 awesome kids. I am in the place that I'm meant to be. And I don't mean physical place. This is a spiritual and emotional and mental place. I love myself because I feel comfortable in my own skin. I love myself, everybody, because I don't label myself as a bad or selfish or broken or whatever person. I just encourage myself. I give myself compassion, and I work hard every fucking day to maintain that kind of relationship with myself. I have truly stopped victimizing myself. And I have empowered myself by encouraging and being compassionate with myself. And you're meant to feel this way about yourself too. This is how you're meant to feel. You're meant to feel comfortable in your own skin. You're meant to feel proud of yourself. You're meant to feel celebrated and encouraged by yourself. And look, I still don't live on the right street. I still don't belong to that country club. I can't go back and redo my college and my law school years. But here's what I can tell you. You can break the habit of beating yourself up over the past. You can break the habit of constantly victimizing and bashing yourself. You can break the habit of labeling yourself with these horrible labels and indicting yourself by saying, you are this way. No, the behavior that you engaged in may have sucked back then, but you don't suck. You're just a human being and you're figuring things out. And now that you know what you need to do better, you can do better. And here's the truth. There's no fast track to transformation. The steps are very simple and very easy, and I just explained them. But you're going to have to work these steps in little ways every single day. You can't buy self-esteem or self-love. You're going to have to build it. And a club membership, a different house, it doesn't change what's inside you. The way you change what's inside you is it takes sweat equity. You're going to have to stand face to face with the part of you that you hate. You're going to have to stand face to face and look yourself in the mirror and stop labeling yourself and victimizing yourself and finally fucking forgive yourself for everything that you've done that you've regretted, for the hurt that you've caused, especially, by the way, for the hurt that you caused yourself. And then you do the work to become a better you. That's how you stop victimizing yourself. That is how you change. It's the only way to create the self-respect and build the self-esteem that you deserve. My message to you is you can change. You can. There are do-overs in life. In fact, you get one every single morning when you wake up. Look in the mirror and you decide, who are you going to be today? Is today the day that you're going to stop saying you're a bad person and you're going to start pushing yourself forward and encouraging yourself to act like the good person that you are? Is today going to be the day that you stop saying that you're a failure and you forgive yourself for the mistakes that you've made and you encourage yourself to start a new chapter, standing on top of all the wisdom that you learned based on those mistakes? That's where you learn shit, guys. It's not when you're winning. It's when things are broken. That's where you gain the experience and the skills that you need. You know, you can change. You can choose to change. You cannot go back in time, but you can start having your own back as you use the time you have now to take control of your future, as you encourage yourself to change your behavior, and as you start writing a new chapter that makes you proud. Not a chapter with the old label, a chapter with a new, encouraging approach to supporting yourself. You know, the hardest part, honestly, of doing this is flipping your focus from what you hate about yourself or your past, and you flip the focus toward what you want to create in your life. You know, I love the metaphor of driving a car forward. That's why a windshield is a lot bigger than the rearview mirror. You're meant to go forward. So you need to stop labeling yourself, because every time you call yourself a failure or a bad person, you're looking in the rearview mirror. You got to stop doing that, and you got to start encouraging yourself to drive forward, because that's what you deserve to do. Yep, you screwed up. Me too. You know, the worst things that you've done, witnessed, or survived, they are your most powerful teachers. So I want you to stop making yourself wrong about what happened. I want you to stop victimizing yourself and bashing yourself. And I want you to just unpack it with some compassion. Understand what happened to you. Understand why you respond like you did. Show yourself a little bit of forgiveness and curiosity. Learn the lessons that are woven into every mistake instead of labeling yourself a bad person. Because inside of everything painful that's going on, whether it's your passive aggressive behavior or your anxiety or your frustration or the cheating or the lying or the drinking or the failures or the whatever it is that you've done. Inside all of that, if you will allow yourself to get curious and if you're compassionate, if you unpack it, you'll learn something about yourself that you really need to know. And you're only going to find it with a little bit of compassion. And look, when we pick up the book again and I start reading on page 67, I'm going to go first. That's right. I'm going to tell you about some of my screw ups. I'm going to share with you the gnarly, almost unrecognizable before picture of my life. I'm going to take you into 2 moments in my life that are so cringeworthy, you will not even recognize the person that I'm talking about. And sadly, they're 100% true. All right, we're going to stop right there on page 66 of chapter 5. We're going to pick up, you're not going to want to miss this in the next video, on page 67, where I take you through really the horrific shit I did when I was in college and law school. Stuff I'm not proud to share with you, but now I understand it's the result of the untreated childhood trauma that I had experienced. It's the result of having crushing anxiety that wasn't getting treated. And it was the result of me not understanding some of the deep-seated needs that I had. And so when I share these stories with you, I think, number one, it's going to show you you're not as bad as you think you are, especially when you hear the shit that I did. And number two, that when you understand what you did through the lens of compassion and you stop labeling yourself, there's all these epiphanies that open up and you'll feel so empowered to finally do the work to heal what needs to get healed, to break patterns that need to get broken, and more importantly, to replace those old labels and those old victimizing, bashing, negative thought patterns with positive, encouraging, supportive new patterns. You'll also learn how to break those victimizing and awful patterns of behavior, and more importantly, replace them with positive, encouraging behavior. All of this is stuff that you can do. And that's what we're going to keep on doing. Starting today, you must stop labeling yourself, period. No labels, ever. That's number one. Number two, you can label the behavior that you regret because that helps you identify it and the patterns that you want to break and the things that you're going to unpack for the lesson. But never, ever, 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 ever label yourself. That's how we stay out of the realm of shame. That is how you stop victimizing and bashing yourself. Only talk about the behavior, never label yourself. And step number two, you must start to adopt habits of encouragement, habits of compassion, habits of forgiveness, and habits of celebration and self-support, because those new patterns will replace the old ones. And that's what's going to propel you forward. And it's going to help you build the life that you love. It's going to help you reconnect with yourself. And it's going to help you take off those horrible glasses that you're wearing where you view life through the lens of whatever label you got. That's how you do it. What does that mean to you, Jenna?
Yeah.
What are you going to do about it?
So here's the thing. When I think about the question, how are you really, or how am I really? Most of us don't want to answer it because we know if we're honest and the answer is I'm not okay, or I'm not happy, or I'm not good, that then we have to do something about it. It's like we have to confront that reality, and that's what will set you free, really. And so one of the things that I think it's wrong so often in this world with so much information is that we try to go so big, so fast, that all of a sudden when we crash, we say, why did I ever think I could do that? Who was I to think I could follow through? Who was I to think that I could start the business or lose the weight or get healthier or seek out the relationship? And what we're forgetting is that, like, if we can start to make the smallest progress, like progress that no one can see, progress that isn't Instagrammable, progress that just simply proves to ourselves that we are actually following through, that we are actually progressing and moving forward, that we are actually capable. it's like we're strengthened. And when we're strengthened, the confidence shows up. And when we're confident, we show up in a different way. And when we show up in a different way, we change. And when we change, everything happens. And so it's like we live in a world that literally wants everything to be pretty and we want it to be showcased. It's like, imagine if you and I were sitting in Vermont and I was like, hey, Mel, let's go grab some chairs and watch this tree grow. It would be so boring, right? Nobody would do it because on the outside, what we see, we're not seeing anything happening. But underneath the surface, those roots are strengthening and lengthening and growing and reaching and giving this growth the roots that it needs to be sustained. And so to me, it's like when we think about what are we going to do about it, we often try to go big. We go too big, and then we live in this shame cycle that we didn't follow through, that of course we weren't able to do it, when in reality, we need to make such tiny little actions. There's a quote in the book that talks from BJ Fogg where it's like, pick the most minuscule, tiny little steps to progress so that you can build up your belief in yourself. Because the way you show up to your battles is directly linked to the warrior you believe you are. And most people don't even feel like a warrior today. Most people don't even feel like they can show up to the battle. And so it's like, how do we build up our confidence through such infinitely small progress that no one else will see, but that we can feel? That's what I think is the difference.
You know, I've been working on something that I don't think anybody can see. I've started to notice after a couple years of therapy and all these big changes that I put into place. And I wasn't even aware of it. And heck, this is even like with the high five habit that, you know, I started to break through the self-criticism, and the high five habit profoundly changed how I see myself. But I still had a layer deeper, Jenna, a dialogue that I think is generational in the women in my life, of being in conflict about what's going on and simultaneously feeling grief and regret. I've been really blown away and really sad by how much I've tortured myself because I have this habit of focusing on what's wrong and focusing on what I didn't do in the past. And I live there because the women in my life, my grandmothers, my mom, like that's their kind of negative mental experience. And so I, every day, and none of you can see this, I catch myself going there.
Yeah.
I catch myself slowly torturing myself that where I am isn't the right place, that what I'm doing isn't the right thing, and it is robbing me of what you said, which is creating fat minutes where you can feel the full 60 seconds and be present to it. And so this is something, everybody, that I am working on every single day that nobody can see. It's sort of like when you're doing sit-ups for the first time, you're not going to see any change in the mirror for probably 8 weeks. And I think the same is true for me. And the incremental stuff that I'm doing, what are you going to do about it? How are you really? Because the truth is, how are you really is, how am I really is I'm doing all this stuff, but in here, I'm like torturing myself because of old mental habits. And I am committed to catching it and noticing it. And then all I do to break that apart, Jenna, is I try to have what you call a fat minute. I try to just go, where am I?
Yeah. Yes. It's all about awareness. What's so crazy is that for so long, I totally believed that I could never meditate. I was like, my brain doesn't work that way. I can't slow it down. I can't not think of anything. Like, I thought that meditating was like emptying your mind, when in reality, it's just having an awareness for your thoughts. And when I shifted it, I am like obsessed with meditation. Like before I went on the Today Show, I freaking meditated. I was like, who am I? Like, I don't even understand, but it's wild how much of our lives we go through without noticing, whether it's the people, the feelings, how we're really, our thoughts, our narratives, the things that we're beating ourselves up for, we go through and we just don't even notice. We don't even feel it. Like there's a chapter in my book about feeling your feelings. Like it's not about just letting happiness be the destination in our life. It's moving through life with this richness of feeling our feelings. Our feelings are communicating things to us. And so it's all about awareness. And it's like when you start to pay attention, man, your life becomes more vibrant. and that richness of the vibrancy, even the highs and the lows, it makes you feel your life. It makes you awake to it in a totally different way. I love that.
I want to just say one
Do
thing.
you need to pick somebody up from the airport? I'm slightly concerned here.
Yeah, I do. It's okay. She'll just start anxiety calling. And she started calling in. She's calling Chris. She has to trigger. It's all good. We're going to go get her. Blah, blah, blah. And in the middle of the panic attack, by the way, the ember is flaming because she's like, oh, and can we stop at Java Juice and get coffee? I'm like, oh,
Deal.
okay. So here's one thing I want to say about that. Feeling your feelings can be terrifying for those of us like me who have spent a lifetime keeping themselves busy or drunk at night. Not drunk, but, buzzed, so that I didn't have to feel. Like, I think one of the reasons why when I really figured out sort of what I was passionate about, writing, coaching, speaking, that I threw myself into it is because when I was focused on something, blaming my feelings and my mind wasn't spinning. And so I've been doing everything. And how are you really? And the slowing down, the getting back into my life, the being honest with myself about how the busyness was really not making me happy. And I will tell you guys that when you start to slow down and you start to truly feel what's there that you've been numbing or running away from or like arguing against, that bridge between the old you and the transition to truly like that ember inside you of how you want to feel in your life, which is in it and present to it. Crossing that bridge can be terrifying, but you can do it. Mm-hmm. And so it goes back to what we started in the very beginning. There is an ember that's burning inside you, even if you feel like a burnt toast piece of crisp pile of ashes. Yeah. That I hope that this conversation has fanned so that you feel it burning a little bit of yearning. You really love her. You're getting on a plane and you're going to go see her.
Yeah, I love her a bunch.
Okay.
So I guess I'm kind of coming to the realization that I haven't been hearing her properly, connecting with her on the level that I should be. And now trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
So a couple months ago, we've been having counseling. And,
that's good. My husband and I go to counseling.
It helps. She was doing it before, and then it kind of became the group, and then now I kind of see a little bit on my own. So I'm recognizing these things, but I also know like a couple of months ago in counseling, she admitted on her last tour that she had emotionally connected with somebody else. So obviously that put a big fire under my ass.
Yeah.
And
it's scary.
Supposedly I handled it really well, so she's wanting to do all this. She's worked a lot on herself for kind of getting to the point where she's at. Yeah. She's got a spot on the bookshelf that's 12, 15 composition books deep of just thoughts ever since she was back, I think she said to like 12.
Amazing.
So, because of some things that happened to her before that age of being taken care of. So she's had to do a lot of that.
This is serving as a final boarding class. The doors are closing in about 3 minutes, and they will not
in doing this, you realize how much you need to work on yourself.
It's scary. And then a lot of regrets come up, and a lot of things you wish you could do over, and then you start to realize there's shit from your past that really messed with you, that you shoved down, that happened when you were a kid. This is, I think, the cycle that we all hit in adulthood. And here's the amazing opportunity. You not only have an amazing opportunity to change the person that you are and to change the relationship that you have with your life, but you have an amazing opportunity to change the relationship you have with yourself. Because your thoughts, your feelings, they actually matter too. And you can't get...
I've been neglected.
Yes. See, relationships are amplifiers. You go into a relationship and you're not right with yourself, that relationship just magnifies what's missing. What did you just get from that?
I like that. Well, it's going to expose those demons more.
Yeah, and here's the thing that most men, at least in a traditional gender sense, don't understand. That it takes tremendous strength to be vulnerable. It takes tremendous strength to talk about the shit that's bothering you.
Yeah.
It takes tremendous strength to admit that you're wrong and to be scared. And that's actually what makes you connect more deeply to your partner. My husband of 25 years failed miserably in the restaurant business. Nearly bankrupted us. Lost it all. When he left the business, he was an alcoholic and completely lost and demoralized. And I did not know until recently, because it was through these rock bottom moments that my career took off. I invented this little thing called the 5-second rule that I used to get out of bed when the anxiety was so crushing. The only thing that would help me escape it was drinking myself into oblivion to numb it all out. And I started using this little brain hack to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, shut down the noise in my brain and launch myself forward through the fear, through the pain, through all of it. And my whole life turned around. Chris's life turned around. But I did not know until recently, when we've been in couples therapy, that the man has, for the last 8 years, just been beating the hell out of himself because he feels like he failed. He feels like he wasn't there for me. He feels like he didn't do his job providing.
That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. And then when your spouse starts to get successful and they start to find themselves, it gets very confusing. And so, what I want to tell you is that the opportunity to connect with her is through being open and through being vulnerable. Like, go toward that shit. I'm proud of you.
I've been doing it, as you see.
I can see that. I can see that. I can see that. And you got to learn how to love yourself, regardless of what happened. Regardless of what you did or didn't do, regardless of all that, you got to learn how to look in the mirror and see a man who is worth rooting for and who is worthy of love. It is not too late to change this. It is not too late to change your life. It's not too late to change your marriage, but it's an inside-out job. You start to show yourself some kindness and some love, and you start sharing more of the stuff that's coming up for you, and that is the path that's going to actually heal you, and it's going to
stop.
Yes. Yeah.
So to speak. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Just need my mojo back. I think that's what she met in me. I had a nice swagger and everything, but it's gotten diluted or
By life?
I think so. Maybe my own just being stagnant and
That's it.
accepting instead of keep pushing.
You know, my good friend Joel Marin, who you should follow, just sent me a freaking thing that he wrote today. Oh my God, Joel! Praise you, Joel. Joel, I cannot believe this. Joel Marin, I'll give you his name. He literally wrote me this whole thing that he wrote today that you need to hear.
Okay.
Wait till I'm gonna find out. Marion. He wrote me this whole thing about the fact that when we are born, we have incredible potential, but so few of us realize what we're capable of. And he uses this analogy. This is in your DNA. You were created to be a Lamborghini in life. You have literally everything inside you to be able to perform like that Lambo. You're manufactured that way. That engine, 729 horsepower engine, is in there. That insane torque. You have unbelievable intrinsic ability to go from 0 to 65 miles per hour in under 3 seconds. But for most of us, we never experience close to those numbers that we are created to perform at. And so he tells a story about how he was test driving one, but the neighborhood he's in has like 35 mile per hour speed limit.
Okay.
He ended up not buying it because he never experienced the potential.
Right.
What you're talking about is you're talking about the fact that you actually know there is that inside of you. And when you lose your capacity that you were built in, and you stop growing, and you stop stretching yourself, and you stop pushing yourself forward and learning new stuff and expressing yourself, something inside you starts to feel like it's dying.
Yeah.
And so I'm
Stalling
telling you,
out that engine.
yes, it's still there. And the reason why it's still there is because you're missing.
Yeah.
And you can only miss something you know.
Okay.
So I think Joel sent me that for a reason. In times of my life when I felt lost or stagnant, I say I feel like a racehorse tied to a pony ride at a kid's birthday party. Like I am built to fucking run.
Yeah.
And I hate it when I feel like just tied down like that.
Yeah.
And so there is something inside you that you've been holding back. What do you think it is?
Not really sure.
Well, I would
Not
take
sure
on a
if it's
challenge.
Not sure if it's a passion that I've ever tapped into or something that I've missed since, earlier years.
Who knows? I think you should take on a challenge. I think you should take on climbing some mountain or some kind of race or some like fitness thing, something that's a little out of your comfort zone to give you something to push you. It doesn't have to be the perfect thing. Just something that you're up to is enough.
Yeah.
But I want to acknowledge you for the fact that you recognize that there's an issue and you're taking the steps to go make the effort. If you're getting on a plane, you're flying to surprise your wife.
Not only that, but I deal with motion sickness, vertigo, and
Awesome.
and I don't drive well at night. So I've got the bands on.
Great, they work.
I took my motion sickness pills.
I love that. I give you a high five for that. That's fantastic.
We're doing what we can.
You're
and
doing it. Then does she know you? She doesn't know you're coming.
She does now.
Oh, good.
She didn't a couple days ago, but then we were trying to do the pregnancy reveal to some of the family because we just found out last week.
Congratulations!
So she was all like, I'm going to do it. You're there. I'm here. And I want to video chat my family and be able to like tell them because she's up where some of the family is and she was seeing someone were coming to visit. So I told her, I'll tell you what, well, I'm actually coming up there. So she was pretty surprised, but
That's awesome. You're going to be an awesome dad. You want to know who the best dads are?
Yeah.
The ones who are actually right with themselves.
That's true.
The ones who are able to talk about their emotions. The ones who are able to be human.
This is my second child. This is her first, but I told them, my son's almost 23.
That's amazing.
So to start over, it's it's been a lot of emotion.
You're not going to start over. You actually are building upon.
Okay.
Okay.
And my son's been great. He's guys would be super impressed with how good my son is. He hasn't seen his mom since he was 6 years old, so I kind of raised him on that. I mean, there's people in and out of the life, but yeah.
You got a moment in your life to make yourself really proud of yourself.
Yeah, appreciate it.
And if I were a betting woman, some days I am, depends how much liquor I get, I'd place my bet on you.
Well, that's what I'd like. I want that more than anything.
Don't wish for it, don't want it.
And my wife deserves it.
Do the work. No, hold on.
What? Go ahead.
You deserve it.
I deserve it. Okay.
Give yourself what you're seeking from other people. Seek redemption and forgiveness because you deserve it from yourself. And in my book, forgiveness means that you have stopped wishing things could be different. Accept everything that's happened or didn't happen as a lesson. And as long as you hold on to that shit from the past, you're actually still there.
Yeah. Okay.
What'd you get out of this?
I got a little more resiliency, a little pick me up, and I'm glad I came and talked to you very much and took the time. I wasn't sure if I was imposing because I didn't know if it was more like a female thing, but I have plenty of emotion that I'm pretty open with. Sometimes too open, maybe. I don't
think so. I'm also going to introduce you to my husband. So he created a men's group a men's retreat called Soul Degree, where he takes guys out into the woods for 5 days to actually have these kinds of conversations. And he's had guys from 22 to 60 plus, multiple tours of duty, professional athletes, regular, just everyday folks like all of us. And it's remarkable. And what he also does, because he only does these a couple times a year, is he also has calls every month where it's guys get on and he leads a meditation, and then there's a topic that y'all discuss, and it's really freaking cool. And so I will make sure that you have his information, and I will get both of your email addresses, and I will have my team email you a credit so you can listen to one of my books on Audible.
That's what's cool. I've been doing a lot more trying to listen to stuff, and you know, you just don't know what direction to go, because some stuff is just, some people just want to make some money on you, and you just, you know, there's so much out there. You just want to find the right path.
Yeah.
As best as possible.
Yeah.
So,
Awesome.
thank you.
Okay, what happened?
Well, the boundaries thing, and I loved that. I feel like I don't have very good boundaries, but then I heard you just say that you were a victim of sexual abuse, which I also am, and I think that part that you were saying to put your hand on your chest, I think my vagus nerve is broken because it made me more anxious.
It's not broken. Push harder and repeat it over and over and over and over and over again, and you will slowly feel yourself come back into your body. So when you have an anxiety response, do you leave your body, or what happens to you?
I shut down.
Okay.
Bed covers, like I don't want to do things, or sometimes I go over the top and exhaust myself.
Okay. So what I want you to try, because I don't actually want you to stay in bed. I think staying in bed is a terrible thing to do. And here's why. When you stay in bed, and are you talking about in the morning, like you wake up and just want to stay in bed? Mm-hmm. So there's a reason why we feel waves of anxiety and stress in the morning. Number one, when you wake up, your cortisol levels, which is a stress hormone, are typically pretty high. Mm-hmm. And so that triggers a kind of dump in terms of your emotional state. The second thing is that if you are waking up and you're not excited about your life, or there's chaos going on, you're going to feel this sense of anticipatory dread. So lying there makes the dread feel worse. Third thing, staring at the ceiling, thinking about your problems, does not solve them. Fourth thing, rolling over and trying to go back to sleep does not change what feels like a nightmare in your life, right? And so what will change it is if you throw off the sheets, put your feet in the ground, and get up, because once you get up, you can get going, and once you get going, you can keep going. What I want you to add to this, though, is the high five in the mirror and the high five to your heart, because before you start your day in a state where you're spiraling, I want you to come back into your body and tell yourself over and over and over again, I'm okay, I'm safe, I'm loved, okay? If you can hear it, it's true. Why do you think when we did that exercise in the audience, you felt a wave of anxiety come?
Because I don't believe it's true.
Okay, that's exactly why you felt that. You felt that because you've been running so fast and so long, because you think as long as you're busy and you're running, nobody can catch you and hurt you. And so slowing down is terrifying. Okay, I had the exact same thing. In fact, it wasn't until this fucking pandemic that I couldn't go out that I really realized that I run to Target and Starbucks and go fill up the car because I wasn't okay being in my body and being still. I was so busy because if I was busy, then I wasn't having to feel the shit I hadn't healed yet. And so when you put your hand on your heart and you started breathing and going, I'm okay, I'm safe, I'm loved, your body was like, oh, no, you aren't. We are running. We are going to Target. We got shit to do. We are not listening to this lady. And your body will fight it because you have trained yourself to run and move and be busy as a protection mechanism. Yeah. And what I'm here to tell you is you are okay. You are safe. And you are loved. And you can heal this.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll
believe it eventually, you know.
Okay.
I'll believe it eventually.
Right now, I want you to say it. Say it. Okay, go ahead. Put your hands on your heart. Let's see you do it. You can keep taping.
Okay,
Smart cookie.
Because I will forget.
And I will put a little alarm in your phone. So go ahead. Put your hands on your heart. Here we go. Close your eyes. Press deeper. Press deeper. Okay, now you say it for yourself.
I'm the one I'm struggling.
Yes, you can. That's okay. Breathe in. Here we go. Breathe in. Blow it out. Say it.
I'm safe.
I'm okay.
I'm okay.
I'm safe.
I'm safe.
I'm loved.
I'm loved.
Breathe in again. That's great. Now say it again. I'm okay.
I'm okay.
I'm
I'm
safe.
safe. I'm loved.
Let's do it again. Breathe in. That's great. Really great deep breath. Blow it out. Say it again.
I'm okay. I'm safe. I'm loved. I'm okay. I'm safe. I'm loved.
Kind of weird, isn't it?
It's super weird.
What do you feel?
I feel it a little more.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you.
Because there are moments when, there's all kinds of stuff going around you. And what you need to know is that no matter what's going around you, you always have you. And you can bring yourself back into your body. You can bring yourself back home. You can settle yourself in this moment. And if you can tune out the noise and come right back in here and feel yourself literally flip the switch and find some power, then you can take a deep breath and face whatever's coming. You don't have to run anymore.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm talking to myself too.
Okay, good. Thank you so much. So inspiring.
You're so
I
inspired.
want to be like you one day.
You are like me one day. You're running from your fears, you're anxious, you're doing your best, you're reminding yourself every day, you get triggered by shit. This is what my life looks like. Yeah.
Okay.
Just because I am creating these tools doesn't mean I'm not using them every day. Your life blows up and you find yourself in the ocean with like pieces of the boat all around. Look for a fucking life preserver or a raft. Okay. So I want to applaud you for doing what needed to be done when the you know what hit the fan. That same instinct is what is going to make you successful. The second thing that I want to tell you is once you get a hold of that life raft, you want to grab something else that floats, right? And get yourself out of that water. And so I am glad to hear that you're looking for a job.
Yeah.
And what I would recommend is I would recommend not pretending about the situation that you're in. There is no shame in going to a job interview and at the end of it saying, and I'm asking you for this job. And the reason why I'm asking you for this job is not only because I am going to be incredible at it and you're never going to regret it, but I actually need it. I'm in a really tight jam. I had a life crisis happen. I never thought at the age of 55 I'd be in this situation, and I need the work and I want the work, which means I'm going to show up here every single day and I am going to work the heck out of this job. I've never wanted a job more than I want a job right now. And you should tell your friends that this is what you're going through and that you need help and that you need a recommendation or you need a place to stay. And you should not do what I did, which was hide what was going on because I was so ashamed. And, I'm also going to tell you, it will take time. 5 years ago, I still had the liens on this house. 5 years ago, guys. And so it will take time for you to climb out of this, but you will climb out of this. When you're in a shitstorm and when the lights go out in your life and things feel really dark and really heavy, there has always been one thing that helps me get through those moments. And it's reminding myself that this moment, like every painful moment of my life, was temporary. It passed. And when you can keep telling yourself this moment it's going to pass and it's leading me somewhere. When you can trust in that, you create your own light in that dark tunnel. And it allows you to look up. And one of the things about learning something new, like how to make money online, is that it acts like a beacon for where you're freaking going.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the power boat that gets you there right now.
I know.
Because you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
you need to find another freaking life jacket, which means you need to get a job. Which
I
means
know.
you need to like just keep going on these interviews. And there's no need, like if you've gone on all these interviews and people are like, you're amazing, and then you don't get it, you think it's because you're too old or you're too desperate, they say you're a consultant.
Right.
There's no shame in writing back and saying, I'm not sure if you filled the position, but I didn't mention that I actually need a job.
Right.
My pride got in the way. And so if you haven't filled that position, or maybe you are looking for more people, I want to make sure you know I'm not looking to be a consultant. I've never wanted to find a great job more than ever than this moment. There's no shame in that. What's the worst they're going to say? Yeah, we filled the job.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I've been really even just struggling to even get interviews too. And it's just a funny thing, you know, and it's like, I did have like a really great
What did you do before?
Well, I have a, like, you know, I was sort of a rock star visual researcher with directors, like, back in the day. And I took an odyssey out of that when I had my kid and went to Europe, and I had a company doing that. And recently hooked up with my old team through B School. We're starting a Pinterest collective. So I'm reactivating this whole visual research space.
Great. Let me tell you what you could do tomorrow.
Yeah.
Project management.
I don't know, girl. I'm like the worst project manager.
Bullshit. Bullshit. You can't manage your own life. You can manage somebody else's project.
Maybe.
1,000%. 1,000%. Do not look for a job in what you used to do.
Okay.
Look for a job managing projects in any kind of company, because you just need structure and a place to go every day and a paycheck. That's like the rows on the boat rowing you ahead.
Yeah.
And you're scrappy enough, I can tell, that you'll get annoyed with that job. And then you'll start hustling even more than you are. And you'll giddy up in the other things. But you need the structure. You need to get out of the house. You need a simple paycheck. You need to do that routine for a couple months. I am telling you, it is the best job market in 4 years. I don't give a shit how old you are.
No, I love the hearing that. And I get so frustrated by that because it's like, you're
looking for the wrong kind of job. You're trying to find a needle in a haystack.
Yeah. I mean,
you have skills. Stop looking at industries. You have skills. You can manage things. The woman that I just hired, who's going to come on board as my executive assistant, like organize Mel, she was a graphic designer. She worked in a branding agency. She had a dog walking. She's never been an executive assistant. Why? Right. Because I just need somebody who can organize shit, who's an adult that I trust, who's not going to steal from me. That's what I need. And who can boss me around.
Right. Yeah, I do. I understand it. I do think I do have the adult quality, and
of course,
I definitely, like, I'm a pro. I mean, I honestly though, Mel, like, I would ruin your flights. Like, I'm the worst. I'm not a project administrative.
Then don't take that kind of job. You're not hearing me. You have skills that you can market. Do not look for a visual organizer, needle in the haystack job. Forget that. Get your skills at the top of your resume. LinkedIn has an entire learning platform, and there is so much on there about marketing skills. That's what people are hiring right now. It's not about the industry.
Yeah, I do see that. Like, I have like 8 recruiters working for me that can't place me because it's like, I'm an email marketer. Everything is like one skill kind of, like parsed out. And like,
trust me, look for project management, account services, anything, honestly.
Okay.
That's just what you need. You need something. At this point, don't be picky. Just
I'm not picky.
a job.
I just feel like I don't get any traction with it. It's weird. Like, it's just a weird, I'm not.
Okay. So let me tell you something else. You ready?
Yeah.
Because I can tell you don't like the advice, which means it's exactly what you need to do.
I don't know. I'm open to doing anything, but I just wish I was good at that. I've worked with project managers and I value them.
Well, then don't be a project manager. You're missing the point.
Okay.
If you're working with recruiters, they're not going to place you in a job that's general.
Right.
80% of jobs are not even marketed. They are filled by referral.
Right.
You need to be talking to your friends. You need to
Right.
be looking at the job boards on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And you need to be lowering your standards because you're in a lifeboat right now.
Right.
That's what you need to do.
Okay.
And as you lower your standards on the job front, and as you start rowing in a direction because you now have a paycheck, you're able to get out of your ex-husband's apartment every day. I'm dead serious.
Yeah.
Like, let's just be honest about where you're
Yeah.
at. And you have a rhythm to your week.
Yeah.
That structure from that job is going to give you what you need to get going in a different direction.
Yeah.
You can't organize your thoughts because you're all over the place because you're in an emergency. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And the last thing I want to tell you is you are capable of figuring this out. And you will get a job. And you will launch a new business. And you will make these things happen. And you will look back on this moment. And you will see exactly why this happened and how it helped you get somewhere awesome. Your sense of feeling like the effort is worth it begins and ends with how encouraging, supportive, and kind you are to yourself.
You have to become aware of it, and you have to realize that sometimes, like, the way you talk to yourself, like, believe it or not, it does impact us. And whether we want to admit it or not, I think sometimes people, when they're feeling so down about themselves, they have a hard time admitting that something in their life is going wrong because they're already feeling so low that the idea of even having something bring them even down lower, like, scares the hell out of them, right?
Yeah. So let's break this apart. Let's role play here. Okay. So let's say you are, what was the sport that you played as a kid?
I tried to play all sports. I wasn't very good, but I would say the sport that I was the most consistent with was basketball.
Okay. So little Doug is on the basketball court and there's a foul, and Doug is the person that is selected to shoot the free throw. And little Doug steps up to the free throw line. And then all of a sudden they call a timeout. And you come running back to the huddle. What would be the most empowering and encouraging and motivating thing that your coach or teammates could do or say in order to help you perform and feel your best when you step onto that line?
Like, I believe in you and you're going to make it.
I believe in you and you're going to make it. You got this. And then they send you back into that game with a high five, right? How would that make you feel, little 9-year-old Doug?
I'd feel pretty confident.
Right. Now, how would little 9-year-old Doug feel if when you came back to that huddle and you're about to go do this free throw, that your teammates are like, oh, him? He's a piece of shit. He screws everything up. Are you kidding me? What? What? Oh my God. Well, he shouldn't be the one that does. How would that make little Doug feel?
It would probably obviously make me feel like I'm not going to make the shot. So why even bother?
Correct. What you say to yourself matters.
Right.
And we understand that from a common sense perspective. But somewhere along the line, we have all stopped saying, you're going to make it. You got this. And we've started saying, you're a piece of shit. You're not good enough. Why even bother? And when you send yourself into a conversation, into a presentation, into even typing up an email, when you start your day by saying, I look terrible, I screwed up again yesterday, I hate my life, that's not going to motivate you to change it. And so your sense of feeling like the effort is worth it begins and ends with how encouraging, supportive, and kind you are to yourself. And, we can also take this little role play exercise and go, well, let's say you miss the shot and you come back to the sideline again. What could your coach say, or what would you want your coach to say to help you get your head back in the game and to brush off the mistake that you just made?
Like, you did your best, Doug. You'll get them next time. Like, get back in there. And I have a feeling you're going to be a positive contribution to the team.
Yeah, that's right. Shake it off. You did
Shake
your
it off.
best. You're going to do it next time. This is how you win some, you lose some. Let's go. Now I need you to win some, right? I believe in you.
I think one of the role plays that we could maybe go into that I think is pretty common with people is that they acknowledge that they maybe have to start talking to themselves better. But whatever they start to say that's positive, there's this cognitive dissonance because they just don't believe it.
Right.
How do you get somebody who for the last 10 to 15 years has just been completely destroying themselves self-talk wise, begin to build some consistency with that? So now that becomes a new habit that they're talking to themselves in a more positive way and they actually believe it instead of just saying it.
This is a phenomenal and really smart question. If you have been trashing yourself for 10 years, you do have a cognitive dissonance. You don't even hear it anymore.
Right.
Because that negative, you're a piece of shit, you're not good enough, you screw everything up, first began as something you said. Then it became a belief. Your brain started to align with the belief and it starts to become your identity. I always screw things up. And I want you to hear me loud and clear. If you are on social media and you ever go to the Discover page on Instagram or on TikTok or on any platform, that social media platform has put together a mosaic of content that aligns with everything that you consume in your feed. That social media platform on the Discover page has assembled a world on social media that looks just like the stuff you're always looking at. Your brain works exactly the same way. One of the reasons why it is so important for you to identify how often you are trashing yourself or being pessimistic or you are being negative in your attitude and unkind to yourself is because as long as you think and speak that shit, the Discover page of your mind presents a world that matches to that negative dialogue. So that's why this is critical. The second thing that you need to do, because you're unconscious to it, right, is there are two things that are going to work, because just trying to speak kindly often doesn't work because you have so trained your mind that you think you're not good enough, that saying, I'm good enough doesn't work because your brain literally looks at you like, who are you talking to? Like, because I can't be you. So there's two things that will help you based on the research. The first one is journaling exercises, because there is something that happens when you create a new habit where every single morning before you look at that social media, you open up a blank page. And the way that I journal is very simple. I always start by writing down 5 things that I want. And I just let them flow through me. What are 5 things that I really want? And it might be something small. It might be that, I want a really cool new pair of sneakers. It might be something big. I really want to feel happy. It might be something that is a feeling. Like, this pandemic has kicked the shit out of everybody. I am not immune from the feeling of burnout or the feeling of languishing, the feeling of disconnection even from self that we can all feel when you're isolated for this long and you're remote for this long and you're stressed out for this long. And so allowing yourself to write down 5 things that you want. I want to feel like myself again. It allows the things that you desire to flow through the self-doubt and through the negativity and through all the crap that buries it and pushes it down, and it allows it to come to the surface. And the writing it down is important because your mind is paying attention. That discover page that your mind creates pays attention to what you say is important. And if you begin a new habit of just starting your day with a blank piece of paper and writing down 5 things that you want, every day. It can be the same things every day. It can be different things every day. You just allow yourself to do this. You will start to build the skill of being connected to what you desire. You will start to develop a skill of tuning out the self-doubt and tuning into what you want. And this is really important because your brain is paying attention, and it doesn't require you to talk to yourself. It just write it on a piece of paper. The next thing that you're going to do, step 2, is write down why you want these things. Because if you have a negative dialogue, Doug, you have for decades talked yourself out of the things that you want. You have filled your heart and your soul and your mind with all the reasons why it's never going to happen. And so by starting every day with a new habit, write down 5 things that you want and then write down why you want these things. You are developing a skill of listening to what you want instead of listening to the self-doubt. That's step 1. That's one thing that you can do to fight decades of negative self-talk. The second thing that you can do is every morning after you brush your teeth, add a high 5 in the mirror to your reflection to your morning routine. That will have a shockingly powerful impact on your negative self-talk. And the reason why it does is because your brain watches you do it, and you only give a high 5 to somebody that you believe in, that you're rooting for, that you're kind to, and that you want to see win. And what we've found based on researching this simple habit, adding a high 5 to the mirror every single morning, you don't say a word. As stupid as it sounds, just high 5 the mirror. What we have found after researching this for 18 months and having 153,000 people from 91 countries do this for 5 days is that it has a profound effect on how you speak to and how you see yourself, because it is an action that demonstrates to your brain that you care about yourself and you support yourself. And so those are 2 physical things that you can do to start to shut down and fight back against the critic that is programmed into your head.
Hi, how are you? I saw you in the back right.
Oh, I'm sorry I had to run out.
Whatever.
No, it was too powerful. I did not have like enough napkins. It was like deep because my mom died of cancer. So when you mentioned the woman with the I was like, oh,
I can't be here.
And then you literally hit the nail on the head. Because a lot of times I don't know, so my company's new, we're a woman-owned small business, and being in this space with all these people, like these millionaires and these CEOs, these executives, and I'm a woman from Haiti, and then we're just trying to make it, and then I kind of sort of made it to like yesterday. It's amazing, but every single day I wake up and I'm like in fear. I'm like, am I gonna do it? Am I gonna do it? Am I going to become a woman-owned small business? It took forever, 8 months to be exact.
Okay, it only took you 8 months?
That's a long process for woman-owned small business. It's just to get that certification.
I understand, but what I'm saying is, Even the way you're telling me the story, you're not giving yourself enough credit.
And that's when I was like, oh my God, I need to be nicer to myself.
Nicer. Okay, your business needs it. You want to make more money? You want to have more fun in business?
Yeah.
You want to go after even bigger fish than the 36 states that you just landed? You have to start treating yourself better. You have to become your biggest cheerleader. You have to look in the mirror. Yes, criticism will not grow your business.
Yes. But it is.
It will not grow your business. It's making your business harder. You want to be successful in business, you must be kind to yourself. You must cheer yourself. You must say, tell me something small that you did today.
I have to fall asleep.
Great.
Every single client I wanted to meet.
Okay, so here's the thing. You had 2 hours of sleep, and you still met every single client. You deserve a high five. Okay, tell me something else you did today.
Thank you. Something else? Oh, I was crying a lot. So before I met my next client, I had to make sure I had my makeup redone.
Okay, so you had your makeup redone after you're crying in my session. High five. There you go. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You don't give yourself enough credit. You're focusing on the thing that's not working. You're beating yourself up. You will not reach empire status, and you deserve to build an empire. You are not some little girl from Haiti. You are a woman on a freaking mission who deserves support and celebration, and that begins with you and how you treat and see yourself.
Yeah, no, that's why the whole time I was like sobbing, and this man was like, it's gonna be okay. I was sobbing, and then when you like with the woman with the cancer, to this day, I never visited my mom's grave. 8 years.
When are you going? When are you going? When are you going? Okay.
Just like that, because like right now, I'm at a point in my life where like I have everything I could ever imagine.
Yeah.
But she's not there to see it.
Yes, she is.
You know, but you get...
No. Yes, she is. Yes, she is.
Yeah.
Your mother is still here. Your mother sees you, and you need to go.
Oh,
see her.
I'm like not gonna cry because I just got like my makeup done. Oh my God.
You need to go see her. She did a really good job, and you're doing a really good job.
Thank you.
Honor her and honor yourself, and find the courage to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go see your mother and sit with her at her grave and tell her how amazing you are.
This is a realistic place, and like all these like men and
I don't give a shit about these men in suits. They don't either. Who cares? We're having a deeply spiritual conversation that will change the trajectory of your life.
No,
Stop running. Stop auditioning. You've arrived.
that's deep. Oh my God.
What did you just get?
I've arrived.
What does that mean to you?
I've kind of sort of made it. Kind of sort of.
Kind of, sort of. Okay, I'm going to turn around. We're going to have a do-over. What does I've arrived mean to you?
I'm able to work from anywhere in the country and still make money and take care of my family.
Yes, you have made it.
Yeah.
Not a kind of sort of have a on a hein on some days. No, I have made it. I want to hear you say it.
Made it.
Say it louder. I have made it. Do you believe that? You need the 5-second rule is going to help you take action. You need to start looking at the woman in the mirror and seeing a person. And seeing a person you're going to keep on high-fiving as she goes and gets even bigger and happier and more successful, because that's what you deserve. Will you go see your mom? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Will you go see your mom?
When I make $1 million.
So you're going to see your mom in 2022.
Yes.
Great.
I'm going to see my mom.
You're going to go see your mom in 2022.
Yeah.
Behavior and mindset is contagious. If you surround yourself with negative people, you will catch their negativity, and it will make it harder for you to go after your dreams. If you surround yourself, for example, with people that smoke, you are unbelievably likely to catch the smoking habit. If you surround yourself with people who are divorced, you are more likely to get divorced or to break up. If, on the other side, you surround yourself with positive people, you're more likely to be positive. If you surround yourself with people who are in relationships that are committed, where they're working on it, where they treat each other with respect, you are likely to pick up those habits. The single most important thing that will impact your dreams beyond your own mindset
is the people you have surrounded yourself with. That's why this entire week is going to challenge you to take a very critical look at the people that are surrounding you. Are they positive? Are they negative? Are they cheering you on? Are there people in your life that are several steps ahead of you, that are motivating you to go further, to push through your self-doubt? Are there people that you are around that inspire you to crush your own self-doubt? Are there people that you have in your life that you feel safe to talk to? It is critical. If you want to do big things in your life, one of the most important things you can do, other than attacking your own mindset and building a positive mindset, which is change number one. Change number two is get serious about building a team of people around you that will help you change for the better and that will inspire you and motivate you to push through the self-doubt, the procrastination, the hopelessness that you feel that holds you back. It's one of the reasons why we created a Facebook group for Best Decade Ever, because I wanted you to have access to other people that were doing big things. If you don't agree, by the way, with somebody's dream in the Facebook group, scroll past them. I do not want to hear that people are criticizing each other people's dreams. As long as those dreams are legal, if you have a political objection to them, if you have a moral objection, if you have some sort of activist objection, do not express it in our Facebook group. This is a place for people to feel safe to express their dreams. This is not a place for you to be critical of people's dreams. You got it? Good. If I catch you doing it, you'll be pulled out of the group. So we are cheering for each other, or we are scrolling past the dreams we don't care to cheer for. You got it? Good. So let's turn to page 26. The assignment this week is super simple. Very simple. All the content this week is all about one thing. Take an audit of the relationships around you. Do they make you feel energized? Do they make you feel depleted? Are they worthy of adding to your dream team? I believe that your dream team should be a circle of 5 types of people. I have had a gang of 5 in 2 different chapters of my life, and they have had a profound impact on my ability to build up my habits and to build a business that I'm very proud of. And so I'm going to tell you one story. I had my first dream team when I first got into the speaking business 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I was just stepping into the speaking business. I had no idea how you got paid. I had no idea how you built a business. I had no idea how you become very successful in it. And I was lucky enough to be invited to be part of a gang of 5 people. All of these folks were ahead of me in the speaking business, but I was in the media business, so I brought something to the table that they didn't have, which is the understanding of how you leverage the media, how you get press coverage, how you build a digital business. Well, I want to tell you what I learned from my gang of 5 in a matter of 18 months took me from charging in the beginning $10,000 for every 1 hour speech to where I am now, just 4 years later, the most booked female speaker in the world last year, 110 speeches, and charging 75 grand for a speech, and being so successful that if I didn't have a daytime talk show, I could literally be booked 365 days a year. I didn't learn how to do that on my own. I learned that by having a dream team of people that were cheering for me, that were challenging me, that were pushing me out of my comfort zone, that were motivating me to make the small changes that would help me get ahead, and that also provided the safe space that allowed me to be able to share my concerns and my fears. In this stage in my career, I have a different dream team that are all people that are building massive businesses and leveraging digital content in order to do it. Best-selling authors, folks that have created incredible consumer brands, products that you would know if I were to mention them. And I am learning from them how to go from where I am here to building a digital business that I aspire to build that's up here in this decade. Because remember, this is about your best decade. And what I'm realizing is that when I think about the goals that I have in the next phase of what I want to build, there's probably a dream team that's slightly different that I need to go out and attract. So what are you going to do this week? As again, it's very simple, super simple. I've kept this super simple. You're going to do the same assignment you've had for the first 2 weeks. You're going to continue to wake up every morning and write down your 5 big dreams for this decade. If they change from yesterday, terrific. If they're the exact same, terrific. There's no right way to do this. You simply wake up, and the second that you have a moment, you're going to just write down the 5 massive dreams, the big dreams, not the little dreams, the big dreams for this decade. Why am I asking you to do this? Because dreaming big is a skill. Allowing your mind to drift toward what's possible is a skill. Allowing you to think bigger than the circumstances of where you're at right now is a skill. That's why I want you to continue to write down your 5 big dreams for this decade, not this year, this decade. Now we're going to start talking about the dream team. The dream team and all the material this week, you don't need to remember this. It's all going to reinforce what we're talking about when it comes to your gang of 5, your dream team. You're looking for somebody who's a cheerleader, who's always loyal to you, who's always cheering for you no matter what. You're looking for somebody who's challenging you. This is somebody who, when you come up with an idea, you respect them and they challenge your thinking. They challenge you to think big. You're going to come up with somebody who is going to push you out of your comfort zone. So they see what you're doing, they push you to take different actions. So the challenger teaches you to think differently. The zone crusher is somebody who's going to push you to get out of your zone. Then you got a motivator. This is somebody who's way ahead of you. This is somebody who, just by them being in your circle, somebody that you can text, somebody that responds to you, this is somebody that motivates you. They demonstrate that the amount of money you want to make, the changes in your health that you want to create, the type of relationship you want, the business that you want to build, the life that you want to have, they demonstrate that it's possible. And by them being in your life, it motivates you. And then you need somebody in your gang of 5 that is a safe space. This is somebody that you can tell the terrible stuff to. This is somebody you can tell your deepest fears to. This is somebody that when you're frustrated, when you just need to vent, when you're fucking pissed off, that you can go to and just have a space to get it out of you.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great.
So my question just has to do with this COVID-19 epidemic or pandemic has heightened my sense that I'm not where I should be in life. And I think I coined a term in my head. It's the green grass trifecta. The grass is greener in the past, the grass should be greener now, and the grass might be better in the future, or it should be. So that's the way I'm feeling. I feel like that the constant rumination over this is just causing me to get into that funk. And, I have a schedule and I put those best practices forward to try to make myself feel great every day.
So can you describe for me, what is it that you are ruminating about that makes you feel like that you're stuck in this green grass trifecta, as you call it?
Well, I just, everyone has started to lose their jobs. I know that intellectually, I know that due to the pandemic, it does not discriminate against any sector of the economy. I mean, I just read an article that even healthcare workers, physicians assistants for like elective surgery, for example, and some doctors are being furloughed or losing their jobs. So I know it affects everyone, but just the idea that I could be on shaky ground and possibly lose my job if the company tries, wants to make cutbacks, and it's mind-boggling to me that these companies have such a short runway of 1 month, and then the entire economy goes to hell. And so I know that it really may leave no person behind in terms of those effects. And so I wish I wasn't on such shaky ground. And that that bothers.
So let me ask you a question though. So is the worrying that you're doing and the ruminating mostly about losing your job, or are you beating yourself up and punishing yourself in other ways too?
It's about that, but I guess I am beating myself up and punishing myself for like not amassing massive amounts of wealth, so that if I did lose my job, I just say, okay, well, who cares? I'm going to, Bermuda and, whatever. So that bothers me.
Are you where, push the pandemic or whatever the heck it's called aside, okay? Are you where you thought you would be in life by now?
No, I think, I went through the recession in 2008, which I would like make steps forward and take 3 steps back. So I would undertake a project to like improve my life and get, where I wanted to go. And then something seems to always happen, economically, or just, I have some big loss in my life. And so it's the same thing here. I was starting to move forward and I had a really good plan for where I wanted to be like a year from now. And I was implementing that plan and I had really great traction on that. And then boom, this thing happened. So
okay.
We are again.
Okay. So here's the opportunity for you. The opportunity for you is to not make the pandemic personal, because the thing that will kill your ass is here we go again. When you start to buy into a narrative that there is a negative pattern in your life where you get fucked over, that just becomes louder and louder and louder. And what you're having right now is a crisis in your own resignation. And you're seeing the pandemic as a gigantic reason for why it's never now going to work out. And so what I want you to use this moment in time for is I want you to use this moment in time to start to truly win the battle with your own resignation. Because I used to have a story, and sometimes it crops up when I get really pissed off about things. I used to have the story that I'm like the bad news bears. I'm like that little sports team that everybody underestimates, and I never have the right equipment, and I barely win by the seat of my pants, and then everybody underestimates me, and I never get the recognition that I deserve, and why the hell does things have to be so fucking hard for me? And I'll tell you something. I thought I won that battle because I started to have some success. I've been working on my mindset. I'd made a bazillion changes in my life. This is all when the 5-second rule book started to kick in. My speaking career takes off. I feel the momentum. Hell, I got a daytime syndicated talk show. I thought, holy shit, I have won the lottery. And all of a sudden, talk show's canceled. My book contract is canceled. Every single speech I have this year, but for one, is canceled. And I feel like I have been kicked back all the way to square one again. And every time I look on social media, everybody's a life coach and an expert in anxiety. And I'm like, what the fuck? You're a movie star. Get out of my lane. Like, when is it going to be my turn? And this is coming from a person with millions of followers. And the reason why it surfaces up in a time like this is because I feel vulnerable. I feel insignificant. I feel scared. I feel powerless. And so that old story starts to bubble up again because it's familiar. And so the opportunity for me and for you is to use this pandemic to extinguish that shit. Because I'll tell you something, you are sitting in a house, you have a job, you have your health, you are a lucky son of a gun. And if you can get that shit out of your mind, you have the ability to use this moment of time to do what you need to do so that when we come out of this in search of a hug and some vitamin D, you are ready to sprint toward that thing. You have used this moment of time to think about, wow, all these goals that I have,
the world's going to be a little bit different, which creates way more opportunity for people that are positive and that are strategic. But if you and I allow our own rumination and our own bullshit story about the past to sabotage you right now and to take you down a dark tunnel, you will not only waste all of this time, but you will emerge from this moment with more evidence for why it's going to be harder than ever. And I'm telling you right now, if you can get positive, if you can say, bullshit, this is happening for a reason. And you know what? I am going to use this time to make my plan better. I'm going to use this time to think about the things that I wasn't thinking about. I'm going to use this time to think about the opportunities that may be waiting for me. And every time something pops into your mind like, fuck, what if I lose my job? I don't have the savings. This house isn't as big as I wanted it to be. Shit, 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 shit. You're going off course. You are allowing things into your mind that, first of all, you don't need to worry about right now because it hasn't happened.
Well, I even texted a friend of mine earlier and I was catastrophizing, and I'm not really a catastrophizer.
Why are you doing it? Why?
I said, what if I need to go to a homeless shelter and the homeless shelters are overrun, or the government cuts funding to the homeless shelter?
So why are you doing this?
I don't know. I guess I was searching for having a plan B and a plan C.
I think it's something deeper. I think you're seeking reassurance. I think you feel extremely vulnerable right now, and you are seeking reassurance. And your form of seeking reassurance is to get super dramatic,
right?
So that everybody's like, "Oh, just calm down, calm down." How old were you when you started doing that?
I'm really not, as a habit, a catastrophizer. But I did, as a young person, to get like my father to swoop in and comfort me or help me, I used to have to get very loud about it. So I crashed my car in freshman year of college, and it was a
purpose
experience, and it took him days to call me. And then I said, Dad, and I had to cry and get louder.
This is what's happening.
This
is it right here. This is the pattern that's repeating right here. You feel vulnerable. You want somebody to come in and rescue you because life feels fucking hard right now. And catastrophizing is a way to get people to reassure you. I know more about anxiety than most people on the planet because I struggled with it for 25 years. And I also used it to manipulate the hell out of people. Not
interesting what you say about that. That's an interesting take. I've heard you say that, that people with anxiety, they just get other people to fix their problems.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
And it allows you to get out of having to do the work that scares you. Right. And what scares you right now is putting your head down because you had a plan and your plan was starting to work, and now having to readjust the plan. Me too. I had a plan too. My plan was to be a daytime talk show host. It was to write another book and publish it at the end of the year. It was to do another 60 speeches this year. It was to launch another course. All that shit just went, it scares the hell out of me to think about how am I going to reinvent myself in this moment. And it's easier to scroll through social media and be pissed off at people who look like they're ahead of you. It's easier to walk out of my office and walk into my husband's office and go, oh, what if this happens? And what if that happens? What if the other thing happens? And then he reassures me. All of which wastes fucking time and energy. You have something you want to do. What is it?
Well, I wanted to move to Colorado. And
fabulous.
And I was making headway on that.
Fabulous.
No one's talking, no more interviews, no more hiring, no more anything.
Well, so what? You can't go anywhere anyway right now.
Right.
And so when this is over, guess what? Real estate prices are going to be awfully low. There are going to be a lot of places to rent.
Right.
There'll be plenty of things that you can figure out. If you lose your job, you could easily be unemployed in Massachusetts or in Colorado. Right. So there is nothing preventing you from moving to Colorado except for getting in your car and going when you can. Nothing has changed. You are just nervous because the plan that you had changed. Right. You can still get somewhere else. Life just told you it wasn't going to work that way. And so life is testing you. How bad do you want it?
Badly.
There you go. Then stop bitching about it. Stop texting your friends. Stop worrying about losing your job and start figuring out
Where the hell are you going to move exactly in Colorado? And what are the companies you want to be targeting? And who can you be networking with online? And what kinds of things can you be doing in terms of stalking those folks in their comments and getting to know them online and doing all kinds of stuff to tee yourself up so that when this ends, you're ready to go.
That's true. I should deepen my plan at this point. Aside, it was working well just on the surface, like, oh, apply for this. These people would call me back and so on and so forth. But now I probably have to dig deeper.
Yeah, you do. We all do, because this is not something that's happening to you personally. Look, we didn't choose for this to happen, but you get to choose how you show up to it.
Right.
And this is an opportunity for a huge breakthrough for you, because you strike me as somebody who is very resigned and somebody who doesn't believe that shit's going to work out for her.
I know, and the truth is, if I go back historically, it has always worked out. I said, oh, I want to live here and do this and drive that car, and it's always worked. So I don't know.
Why don't you believe in yourself?
I don't know. I'm going to have to think about that at this moment. Why, or write down all the evidence for why I should. And go back in history and say, well, you did it this time and this time and this time and this time. And so that's evidence that, that you
the
can do.
evidence isn't convincing you because you're sitting here telling me about it in a very flat, unemotional way. You have a narrative that your life is hard.
Right.
And that it's not fair. And I don't know where that came from, but it's not serving you. And I would be willing to guess that it's either somebody else's story that you just started to adopt as your own, or it is something that you made up because of something that happened to you as a kid.
Right.
And as you have gone through life, surviving everything and overcoming everything, the story that life is hard and it's not fair has remained. You see, life is just life. And you are the one that's deciding that it's not fair and it's hard. I want you to start telling yourself a different story. This shit's going to get easy. I'm a problem solver. I'm a survivor. If anyone's going to come out of COVID-19 and this bullshit, it's going to be me, because I'm going to be in a car driving to Colorado to meet up with all these people I've been networking with, because my life is easy because I'm a doer and I believe in myself. That is your core issue, is you are telling a narrative about your life, whether it's true or not, doesn't matter. What I know is it doesn't fucking serve you. And that's what's got to change.
Yeah, I've overcome a lot of obstacles, and they were all kind of unfortunate events that I couldn't control as a kid and moving along, even though I had a wonderful childhood. But there have been obstacles. And so I do feel like in many ways, I'm like a survivor instead of just thriving. I'm surviving. And that's not, you're right. I need
What
to.
does it mean to thrive in your mind?
For everything to come, not easily, like, oh, here, come give it to me and slap it on my lap. But for me to say, this is what I really want to do. And then the steps move along and things happen and they come through in a positive way. And I get what I want relatively easily instead of having such a struggle.
Well, what if you're the only part of the struggle? What if you're the one? And I'm not talking about a struggle out there. I'm talking about the struggle in here. I'm looking for a little, oh, here it is. Hold on. I've been using this a lot. Is this one? I don't know. This will work. It's I've got another word on this, but oh, here it is. Let me see. So there's, oh, is this going the right way? Can you see this? External, internal. There's external struggle and internal struggle. This is the struggle that needs to end. Right. Thriving would mean not getting all that stuff. Thriving would mean that you are doing what you're doing without punching yourself mentally and emotionally the entire time you're doing it.
Right, removing the resistance. It's almost like when they're doing a roof and there's tar on the street and you drive over it and it just tacks on to your
Yeah.
tire. Same thing. You just have to get rid of that because
Here's the thing that has changed my life and always diffuses the bullshit stuff that I tell myself about being the bad news bears. You ready? The thing that I'm in right now is preparing me for the chapter I can't see that's coming. And when I look at my life that way, I don't see anything as a failure. Yeah, of course, I just told you a story that my talk show got canceled and my book got canceled and my speeches got canceled. That's just what happened. I can either tell myself a story that all that shit got canceled because I'm a fucking loser, or I can tell myself a different story, which is all that stuff got canceled because it was supposed to. I wasn't supposed to do that talk show. I was supposed to learn something doing it. I was supposed to meet people doing it. I was supposed to gain some sort of skill doing it that is preparing me for the next thing that's amazing that I can't see. And that's already coming true because that's been the story of my life. If I really want to tell it in a positive spin, of course the book was supposed to get canceled because that publisher was a pain in the ass to deal with. And I was a year late in delivering a manuscript. I wonder why, because I wasn't all that inspired to write it. So it prepared me for never doing a deal again that didn't quite feel right. Thank God it got canceled. And speeches getting canceled, it's now blowing my mind. Of course I lost a shitload of revenue, but you know what? It's making me think about the fact that the whole world has changed and there's so much opportunity in doing training and events virtually. And now, like, how can I problem solve in that? And so there is something in what's happening in the struggle that is meant for you. And when you flip it into a faith that is preparing you for something, and the biggest possible thing that you're supposed to learn is how not to suffer internally and how not to struggle internally. And when I say suffer and struggle, I don't mean the daily bullshit and the emotions that rise and fall. That happens to all of us. Of course, you see something on Instagram or social media and it triggers you and it makes you feel inferior. Let it last for 10 seconds and then keep going because you have a faith and a bigger belief that something amazing is coming. And this mental battle that you got to learn how to win, you're not going to get the reward that you're supposed to get until you learn how to stop struggling and how to stop adding all of that tar that you talk about.
100%.
And what's that?
Is it 100%? And that's why I was saying about going back and if I just journaled it or something and I said, look, this is what got me to where I am now and I could see every step of the way, then writing that down would get it in my head, which will get it into my heart. That
yes, you can do that, and that is one thing to start to do to reprogram the story you tell about your life. The second thing is a tolerance policy for allowing that shit to stay there. And I would use the 5-second rule, count down backwards to yourself. The moment you start getting one of those negative thoughts, I do not do this anymore. I am going to live in a mindset that things are unfolding and I don't even know how or what or why yet. I just know I'm not allowed to struggle anymore. I'm supposed to remind myself that I survived this stuff and it's time to start thriving and being patient and trusting through this instead of being so about it all.
That's how I am. I need to stop.
You know why I know? Because it's how I am. And if I let myself get stuck up here, I become this tense ball of frustration. And the second I start to feel that in my body, that is an old fucking story. Get it out of here. I do not believe that anymore. I believe that if I do the work and if I keep in a space in my head and in my mind, in my body, that this is unfolding in a way that I cannot see, but it is preparing me for something amazing that's coming. You stay in that space of gratitude, you stay in that space of faith, you stay in that space, and you will win. So the morning that I discovered this thing, I'll kind of unpack this because the first morning and the second morning, I know that you're going to take this like, boom, even deeper. So here we go, everybody, buckle up. So it's April 2020. And, you know, I can't use my normal coping mechanisms. We're all in quarantine.
So as I
Yes.
lose my dream job and my kids' college experience implode and they're grieving and upset and sad and I'm terrified for I'm, scared for everybody and the frontline workers, and life is upside down and the anxiety starts to kind of roll back in. I can't run to Target. I can't go to the coffee shop. I can't distract myself by running to do a speech. I can't go see my friends. All of the busyness, by the way, which I now can see was a form of self-regulating stress and trauma. That if I'm on the run, I don't have to deal with the woman in the mirror. If I'm moving and the adrenaline is pumping, I don't actually have to sit and be with myself. Maybe I can just outrun this stuff. And so and even the genesis of the 5-second rule, the genesis was, if I move fast enough, if I launch myself out of that bed, maybe I won't be there when the anxiety hits. So even that was like a perfect illustration of just push through it, don't deal with it. It's a fast thing that has profound effects, but it doesn't hit the source of what's causing all of the hatred and the tension and the pain in the first place. So I get out of bed, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I make my bed that morning so I don't crawl back into it. I feel exhausted, overwhelmed. We've all felt this before, whether you felt it during the pandemic or you felt it because you lost a job or somebody just says, I don't love you anymore, or you hate how you look. We've all felt this. I'm overwhelmed by my life. I'm exhausted. I can't face this. I get into the bathroom. I start brushing my teeth, and I immediately catch a glimpse of myself, and I think, oh my God, you look like hell. And then the habit starts that I really want us to unpack, because every single human being I'm discovering has a habit that is so destructive and none of us are talking about because it's so subtle and it is so hard baked into your mind. And it's this: every morning in the bathroom mirror, you either ignore yourself, which is a form of rejection, or you pick yourself apart and see all the things you need to fix or what you don't like. And this isn't, this is everybody. 50% of people are uncomfortable or will not look at themselves in the mirror.
I'll admit, I raised my hand. Took me a very long time to really, truly, and there's still discomfort there of looking at myself. And I used to tell myself, well, it's okay. I know how I feel in my body, and that's my marker. I feel good today, and that's all I need. I don't need to look at that mirror. Not really understanding that I was in that active avoidance. Something felt very intimate, very vulnerable. Before I even got to then the criticism of myself, it just was for me pure avoidance. I didn't really care. I mean, I would need mirrors if I maybe put some makeup on. And outside of that, me and mirrors, I didn't have a relationship with them at all. Not knowing, again, I told myself the story of why I believed I wasn't looking at them until I dove down and unpacked it and understood that there was a discomfort there, and still, like I said, remains for me.
Well, same for me. So I start picking myself apart. I feel my energy going down. And the interesting thing, as I felt myself just getting so defeated, why'd you get up late? You haven't texted Nicole back. The dog's not walked. Like, I'm just like dragging, and all the research around emotional contagion. So do I. That this emotion and negative space is going to impact your productivity. Like, we know all this, but it's a habit. I've been doing this for 4 decades is how long I've been doing this as part of my morning routine. And so if you had walked in the bathroom that morning, I would have spun on a dime. I'd have been like, Nicole, I know this is terrible. I'm so sorry you're going through this. You don't deserve this. But if anybody can face this, you can. What do you need? I would have lifted you up. I could not think of a thing to say. And here's the thing, I wouldn't have even believed it because it didn't match how I was feeling. And I don't know what came over. I honestly believe it was the universe, the divine source saying, all right, we're ready for this. Because it is so cheesy on its face. I'm literally in my underwear, alone with the dog at my feet, literally having the dark night of the soul. And I lift my hand to my tired reflection because the woman in the mirror
needed a high five. And in that moment, lightning didn't strike. It wasn't like the heavens opened and, purple light came in and, whoa, that's not what happened. As you know, too, like you kind of have this awakening and then it's like, fuck, now what? No, but I felt this like shift, and I can explain the science. It's crazy. I felt this shift, and the energy wasn't lovely. The energy was more like, oh, come on. I laugh. Oh, Mel, come on. It's not, get out there. You're safe. You're fine. Like I kind of shoved myself. I didn't even think, I didn't say it. It was a shift. But Nicole, holy cow, the second morning, this is when my healing took a quantum leap. Like I can't even wait till you guys hear this. Like I cannot wait for everybody to experience this. I wake up, same overwhelm, same just defeated, down, tired, anxious, stressed, alone. And I 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get out of bed. I make the bed. I start walking to the bathroom. And I realize I am feeling something I don't think I'd ever felt in my entire adult life. And it was this. You know how when you're about to walk into a cafe and you're going to see somebody you just love, you like them so much, you're about to walk in. What do you feel?
I mean, anything from, excitement to even that warm love, I think that you are expecting to go and receive in that moment.
Yeah. I actually felt that about seeing myself.
How powerful.
I had never felt that as an adult. I'd been excited to see an outfit or what my hair looked like, but I had never felt that sense of joy or excitement about seeing the human being, Mel Robbins.
The being, right? Because I'm thinking too, I'm like, I just went down a trip of what have I felt excited about? And if I were to categorize, it was the stuff I was doing, I would say, or or even an event. It didn't have to even be an accomplishment. As I began to heal, as I began to shift a little less into I have to achieve things, it would just still be an exciting experience I had planned coming up. And I'm having a really hard time having consistent or frequent memories of just me being enough. And for me, if I map it on back into childhood, one of my major copings too was that doing, was shifting from, right, a little girl self-expressing in whatever way to there were things that it was very clear I was good at very early on. And so for me, that shift into doing, and then the excitement, the warm feelings, even the loving connection, I could even go as far to say that my doingness, my achievements, my like how I was in the world, actually for me for a long time was a point of connections for me in my family relationships, in my friendships. How can I serve you? How can I show up for you? Friend, partner, whomever. And so for me, it's hard to think of moments where I felt enough, excited, warm about me without action, uncloaked, just raw in a mirror.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. And it goes back to something you said earlier. You also tend to get a lot of positive, emotion and praise when you're achieving those things. At least I did too. And I think that's why I chased it so much. I had fused the doing with being lovable, the achieving with being worthy. And so as I walk into the bathroom that second morning and the sort of profound nature of what was unfolding started to hit me, I have this second epiphany as I'm brushing my teeth. And that is this. Every morning, there are 2 people in the bathroom. There's you, and there's a human being in the mirror who needs you. They are trying so hard. They are waiting for you to wake up and to realize that they're there. They need your encouragement. They need your support. They need your love. They are so tired of you picking them apart and thinking about all the things that are going wrong. And as I put my toothbrush down, I remembered the fact that yesterday, the day before, I had been researching, how do I need to change right now? Because I have all these people on my team. How am I going to show up for my family? And I found this piece of research from Harvard that says that if you take just less than a minute of intentional reflection about how you're going to show up for the people that you're leading, and this could apply to your family, anybody, it changes your focus, your productivity, it changes your mood, it changes how you show up, your ability to impact. And for whatever reason in that moment, it all fused together. And I thought, well, what if I do that for me? And I asked myself a question I had never asked myself before. And it was this: who do you need me to be today? Like, I asked the woman in the mirror, who do you need me to be today? How can I show up for you? And, you know, what kind of popped into my mind that morning was like, well, it'd be nice if you were kinder to me because I'm trying really hard. And then the next one was, it'd be great if you could muster up some optimism here. Have a little fun today. Like, you know, it's like, hell, throw me a lifeline, Mel. And as I thought about it, I then went and I raised my hand and I sealed it with this high five. And something like, it just felt like this fusion with the person in the mirror. And that's when I really got it. I got that this is so much deeper and more profound, because what I'm actually doing is I'm fulfilling my fundamental emotional needs. I'm seeing myself. I am meeting myself where I am. I am affirming my unique need. And I am celebrating myself exactly where I am right now, whether it's challenging, whether it's exhilarating. I am with myself right in that moment in a way that I don't know if I had ever been.
I think it's really, pivotal. And I want to reiterate this because I think it's such a great point of understanding. Back to that onion analogy again, when you said there's two people, right? And I could go as far to say that so many of us have different masks, different selves, right? The core, like we were just talking about, is who we really are. Though so many times in our day to day, we are showing up in all of these different ways, playing all of these different roles. And there is an us that we need to, and the journey becomes about connecting back to. Though a lot of us are kind of at odds with even ourselves in so many moments because we're so practiced at showing up in all of these other ways that we've lost so much sight of the authentic core within each of us. And what you're also illustrating, I think that's so important, is the practice of that reconnection, right? And many of us start by not knowing, not seeing ourselves, not knowing what there is even to see or to self-express. For me, I share this story often. When I came to the awareness that I, like you and like many of us, filter the whole world through everyone else and what their needs may be, I had a big gaping hole of knowledge. I didn't know myself. I didn't really know that person in the mirror. I did know that we do, I believe, as humans universally, I don't care where you're signing onto this live right now around the globe, we have at our core the desire to be seen, to be heard, to be just in full self-expression, and for that to be enough. Yet I didn't know who that person was. So I share this because I do want to speak to the people who, as we begin to look in the mirror, and for a lot of us, it might just be a concept. Okay, there's an authentic self in there where I don't know where that person is. I don't know what that person needs yet. And that's when we begin the journey to explore. Because I, like many of us, didn't know at first, was profoundly uncomfortable with even beginning to ask those questions. What do I need right now? Can I just be enough in this moment? And it is the question that sets us off into the journey. And I share that because I know a lot of us, we want to know the answers, or we think we should, and then we shame ourselves out of even taking the journey into exploring those. But for me, I'll share, that's how my journey began, not knowing at all, with incredible discomfort, even around stopping to even ask myself those questions. And of course, like you said, it does not happen overnight. I say there's no light switch here. Oh, I heal now. And again, I want to highlight the practice of it, right? Because there's concepts, there's books, there's, people and teachers and tools and techniques, and they're all in theory until, like I say, we bridge the gap from theory into action. And that's what I've always resonated so much with your work, from the 5 second, this idea of the tool. How do I
Right.
practically apply
Right.
this? And now, of course, the high five habit. How do I turn this idea into a daily action that can actually help me create the change that I'm looking for, to
Well,
A, reconnect
yes.
with that person beneath, and B, to over time grow to love them. Over time, grow to love them.
I love the overtime. Now, here's how I'll unpack the experience of doing this, because we've now studied it for a year. The science is so incredible.
So let's talk about loving you, the you of you, and how that is such a diversion from what you've been practicing doing yourself.
Oh, that's so true. Oh my God. You know, it's so funny because here I invent this thing called the 5 second rule out of dumb luck, drunk on bourbon. I literally share it by mistake on a TEDx stage. And I invented this thing to help me get out of bed during the worst moment of my life and finally face the issues that my husband and I had gotten ourselves into. It spreads around the world. I use the 5 second rule to build a business, to be productive, to, do. But it wasn't until I discovered the high five habit that I actually understood how deeply I had been betting against myself. How every step of the way I had been criticizing myself or focusing on what was going wrong. That when I stood in front of the mirror, Kathy, I did not see a successful woman. I did not see somebody that was, out there making a huge difference. I saw what was wrong with me. I think for the last 45 years, I have either criticized or ignored the woman I saw staring back at me in the mirror. And so, like the high five habit, I'm sorry, I just kept barging along. Is there something you wanted to?
No, I'm just taking it in. You're right where you need to be. Keep going.
And so, the high five habit, it did not begin like some big business strategy. I didn't go, okay, I had the 5 second rule. I need to write a book about the five, something. What is it? Like, let's manufacture something. Oh, Atomic Habits is good. Let's get a habit book. Like, that's not what happened, because that's not my brand of self-help. My brand of personal development and empowerment is hit rock bottom, have a challenging moment, resist change, and then come up with something that sounds so stupid and so ridiculous that it couldn't possibly be something that would actually work. And then when it actually starts working, not only for you, but people who follow you, you better fucking figure out how this thing works, Matt. Like, why is this working? And so the high five habit's no different. I have been trying to write a book, Kathy, for 5 years. The 5 second rule was self-published 5 years ago. I have dyslexia and ADHD. I can create an audiobook like in a day.
Yeah.
Writing something, forget about it. I bet I have written 7 books in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
All of them sucked. And what happened for me, this is not a pandemic book, but what happened for me, because we're all sick of hearing about the pandemic, but what happened for me is, when the COVID hit, we all have that moment. Like, I'm sure you remember the moment you knew, oh my God, like this is changing everything.
Yeah.
What was it for you?
When they said 2 weeks the kids would be off school, and then they said no, it's going to be a month, and I had that feeling of like things closing in and the claustrophobia, like how will I be able to exist now with us not being able to go out to even a park? What if this would stay this way? Yeah, it was right then. I couldn't believe they were like closing school.
Yeah.
Months.
Yeah. For me, it was a Wednesday in March in 2020. And we were taping this talk show. It was my dream to be a daytime talk show host. And at the age of 51, I got the opportunity to do it. And so we had shot 167 shows at the CBS Broadcast Center. And all of a sudden, somebody comes into the studio space and says they found COVID in the building and you need to evacuate. You got to be out of here in 5 minutes. The fire trucks are outside. And like that, show canceled, fired from my dream job. Didn't get to say goodbye to the 130 people that I had been working with for over a year.
It is so painful.
But hey, everything is preparing you for something. Everything. And so I get into my car, and I'm driving home, and I realized as the New York City skyline was disappearing, and my daughter was in Spain, and she called and said, I just heard the news that they're shutting down the borders. I need to get you got to get me out of here. And then I hung up with her, and all of a sudden it was my daughter in California. USC is shutting down, Mom. What is it? What's happening? What's going on? And I thought, oh my God, what is about to happen? And so in a matter of 2 weeks, my a book contract that I had got canceled, and they wanted the money back. Every speech I had booked for more than a year started canceling. And that was the beginning. The kids come home, they're in a state of turmoil. We all experienced it, right? And I think for those first 3 weeks, it was like a complete blur. I basically never got out of my pajamas. I started drinking Bloody Marys at about 11 a.m. We watched Harry Potter marathons and Glee. We watched that season, like all of it. And then all of a sudden, one morning, I woke up and I just felt the weight of the world on my shoulders.
Yeah.
I woke up and I started feeling a couple things. I felt, do I need to reinvent myself again?
Oh my God.
And then I thought, am I about to lose all my money again? And I'm like, I'm too old for this shit. I've worked too hard. Like you go into that like mode where like, why is this happening to me? I'm a good person. I've worked so hard. Like you like kind of go at yourself. And so I'm thinking this and I'm like, okay, get up, just get up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I get up. I make my bed. I always make my bed. And then I drag myself to the bathroom and I start brushing my teeth. And as I'm brushing my teeth, Kathy, I catch a glimpse of myself in the mirror. And I think, oh my God, you look like hell. And the gray hair is coming in and there's dark circles under my eyes and my neck is all saggy and one boob is hanging lower than the other. And I felt sorry for the woman I saw in the mirror. She looked exhausted. She looked scared. She looked overwhelmed. And as soon as you start to go down a negative path in your mind, it will continue taking you there. And so I immediately drift to everything I'm worried about. I'm worried about my parents. I'm worried about the world. I'm worried about frontline workers. I'm worried about COVID. I'm worried about my kids. I'm worried about my employees. I'm worried about what's going to happen to my business. I'm worried about everything. And the interesting thing in that moment is if you had walked in, I would have been able to pivot on a dime, especially we women. That's what we do. I would have been like, Kathy, don't you dare. Don't you dare. I know this isn't fair. I know you don't deserve. If anybody can handle this, Kathy, you can. You're going to pick your ass up. You're going to pull on your big girl panties and you are going to get your ass back out there, right?
Yeah.
You could do that for anybody else. But there I was without a bra on, my attitude in the gutter, overwhelmed by my life, stressed out, no energy, last on my list, an impossible amount of shit to deal with, just defeated. And I couldn't think of a damn thing to say to myself. And you know, the other thing is I probably wouldn't have believed it anyway.
Right.
But for whatever reason, as cheesy as it sounds, I literally raised my hand and gave the woman I saw in a mirror a high five because she needed it. And, you know, it wasn't like lightning struck, but something shifted in me. You know, I felt my shoulders drop. I felt my chin lift. I laughed because it's so dumb standing there high-fiving yourself in your underwear. My God. And it's interesting because I also felt like, okay, you know, come on now, Mel, don't be so dramatic. You can handle this. And I left the bathroom. Now, it was the second morning that something really clicked with me because I woke up again, all the same problems, all the same overwhelm. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I get out of bed. I make the bed. I drag myself into the bathroom. And right as I was getting to the bathroom, that's when I felt something I've actually never felt before in my entire life. And that is this. You know, when you are about to go see somebody you really like, and you're going to meet them for a cup of coffee or like a glass of wine or whatever. and you're about to enter the cafe. What do you feel, Kathy, as you're about to see somebody you like?
You're excited and there's like this anticipation. And so you're already feeling good vibes because you know what that person's like and being in their energy. Yeah.
Totally. That's exactly how I felt sitting in your Zoom room. Like, let me in, Kathy, let's go. Come on. I can't wait to see you and meet you. I actually felt that about seeing myself. I have never felt that in my entire life. I have never been excited to see the human being, Mel Robbins. I have been excited to see my outfit. I've been excited to see if the eyeshadow looks good. I have never looked forward to seeing myself, the human. And so I walk in and I'm a little bit more present this morning. And I'm brushing my teeth and I put my toothbrush down and I take a moment. And I really look at myself. And I don't even see my face. I see a human being. What's coming up for you?
I mean, that's just so beautiful. Like what you just said, we think about that when we're about to go see our friend or, you know, the other mom who her daughter's in your daughter's class. And there's like an excitement, like you feel like this is like a gift to spend time with this person, but you had never thought about that. And I just think about the women and the men who I've met in my life, the people who listen to this show who they're so good, Mel, and they're so wired to achieve, but they're only as good as like their last achievement. So there is nothing other than like, well, what's my big post today on Facebook for everyone to see that I earned it today. But like inherently, like me just being me, no, I've never heard anyone say like, what a gift to get to be in that person's energy, my own energy today with myself, to see myself.
Yeah. It's everything. And so, you know, I sat and I looked at the woman I saw in the mirror and I thought to myself, well, who does she need me to be today? And what game in life matters to her? And how could I actually just like move the ball down the field today? And so I thought about it. And I thought in that moment, based on what was going on, that who she needed me to be was more optimistic about our ability to get through this. And the game that I wanted to play was showing up in a different way for our kids, because they were looking at Chris and I about what was happening in the world.
Yeah.
And so I raised my hand and I like high-five my reflection. And so there's a couple things that I just want to explain first about when, you know, you do this, because the beauty of this habit, and this is just the first habit in the book, and we're going to talk about it. And trust me, we are going to get down to the achievement stuff next, because it's really important part of why everybody resists high-fiving themselves and why they feel that it's weird. And I'm going to unpack that in a very methodical way, because thematically, when you feel that this is weird or you resist giving yourself this support and celebration, what's contained in the resistance is the key to understanding why you don't have what you want. And it's also the key to unlocking the cage. Hey, it's Mel. Thank you so much for being here. If you enjoyed that video, by God, please subscribe, because I don't want you to miss a thing. Thank you so much for being here. We've got so much amazing stuff coming. Thank you so much for sending this stuff to your friends and your family. I love you. We create these videos for you. So make sure you subscribe. Mwah.